to beat Indiana 120-109 to take a 3-2 lead in the best-of-7 NBA Finals. OKC got a career-high 40 points from Jalen Williams. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander dropped 31 points and 10 assists. Game 6 is Thursday night in Indianapolis. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. You ready?
Somebody make some noise in this joint.
KBLA Talk 1580 celebrates its 4th anniversary this year on Juneteenth.
Here we go again.
Hard to believe 4 years has gone by so fast.
Oh my God.
But here we are, still standing, still loving and serving our people as best we can.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
To celebrate our 4th anniversary, we have 4 big events, and you're invited to all of them.
She got a lot to say. Let's do this.
Let's get it on.
On Wednesday, June 18th, we go live on C-SPAN for the 2nd consecutive year with our Climate Justice Plus Black Health Symposium. Tavis Smiley will moderate an all-star panel of thinkers and influencers as we continue our vitally important climate justice work.
Hey, Tavis Smiley, on the bomb.
On Thursday, June 19th, you're invited to join us as we celebrate Juneteenth and our 4th anniversary. There will be plenty of food, fun, great music, good vibes, and all of your favorite KBLA Talk 1580 hosts will be there.
Yeah, man.
With the beat. On Saturday, June 21st, there are 2 big events you're invited to attend.
I can't wait to hear it.
This year, KBLA Talk 1580 continues its annual partnership with the Empowerment Congress for a community celebration and dialogue to educate, engage, and empower. This year's theme is resilience in the face of chaos.
Can't wait to see what's up next.
Y'all ain't ready for this.
And new this year is our State of Black Women in Los Angeles Symposium, moderated by Dominique DePrima, with a luncheon to follow. Dominique will be leading a dialogue with some of the most impactful Black women leaders in Los Angeles, and you're invited to join.
This is it.
All of these events are free, but seating is limited, so you must register in advance at our KBLA1580.com website, where you can find all the details you need about each event.
Check it out.
It's our 4th anniversary, and we would love to celebrate it with you.
I love you guys so much. There's nothing you can do about it.
We're KBLA Talk 1580.
The only black talk radio station west of the Mississippi.
Thank you for having our black.
Happy anniversary, KBLA.
Love you. Love you.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. We are live in Los Angeles, California at KBLA Talk 1580, celebrating the 4th anniversary of KBLA here in Los Angeles, as well as commemorating Juneteenth. This week on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, I'll be focusing our attention on Juneteenth, not the celebration, but the commemoration. Juneteenth is a holiday celebrated on June 19th to commemorate the emancipation of enslaved people in the United States. The holiday was first celebrated in Texas, where on June 19th in 1865, in the aftermath of the Civil War, enslaved people were declared free under the terms of the 1862 Emancipation Proclamation, or Executive Order. The state of Texas did not recognize the Emancipation Proclamation order, and therefore blacks in Texas were kept in slavery an additional 2 years because of the behavior of slaveholders. States' rights took precedence over human rights. My guest on the show today will be Del Marie Cobb, one of the nation's leading political consultants, journalists, and advocates for social change. She is the author of an article that appeared a few years ago in Indigo magazine. Del Marie Cobb is a veteran media and political consultant with over 25 years of experience as the owner of the Publicity Works, boutique public affairs political consulting firm and media relations firm based in the city of Chicago. She has established a reputation for her unwavering commitment to progressive public policies and causes. What drew her attention to me this day is none other than Why Juneteenth by Del Marie Cobb. Del, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you for having me.
I am so glad that you are here. We have just a few minutes before the break, and I know that when we do come forward, you're going to read that article to us, and we'll engage in a deep dialogue about the significance of this holiday, about what it represents, what it means, and maybe why we should be turning our attention to Watch Night, that executive order, and the 13th Amendment to the Constitution of the United States that actually did something. And I have a fascinating story as well, Del Marie, that I want to share. Del, before we get to your article after the break, share with us what motivated you and your concerns about this particular holiday.
Well, I first wrote the article in 2003, actually, for Indigo at that time. And before I wrote the article, I called Vernon Jarrett, who was my go-to person because I know he was a self-proclaimed historian. And I said, am I wrong? Am I not getting something? Am I missing something? And I know you'll tell me the truth. And that's when he said, no, I agree with you 100%. We should be celebrating the 13th Amendment if we're celebrating anything. And he went on to talk about that. And what was interesting is he died not too long afterward. And lo and behold, I found out his birthday was actually June 19th.
That is fascinating. It's almost like it's a date that he didn't celebrate personally.
Yes. And he never said that to me when we were talking. And so I just thought that was so interesting. But when he gave me the green light, that's when I decided, well, I'm going to share my thoughts, because prior to that, I'm like, am I just by myself?
You know, one of the consequences, and I'm going to share it after you read the article when we come forward. I was with Sheila Jackson Lee. She was the 91st African-American to serve in Congress. I was the 92nd. I came in a special election in 1995. She came to Congress in 1994. And in 1996, Congressman Elijah Cummings came to Congress. And so we were unique in that I was able to determine she's number 91, I'm 92, and I'm 93. And when you come forward, I want to share with you and with all of our listeners a fascinating conversation I had with Sheila Jackson Lee about the nationalization of June 19th and some of the troubling problems that it represented. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. When we come forward, we're asking Del Marie Cobb to read an amazing article that she wrote, Why Juneteenth, in 2003. When we come forward.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
The doctor's office that accidentally mixed up your files has your social security number. The power company that mistakenly cut your service has your payment info. And the hotel that lost your reservation has your passport number. You need LifeLock because your personal info is in endless places that can expose you to identity thieves. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it, guaranteed or your money back. Save up to 40% with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
LA's newest soul food restaurant is getting spectacular reviews.
Great place with amazing food. The Sunday champagne brunch is fabulous. I saw the place on IG. We tried it for lunch. We were blown away by the food and the service. The restaurant has an inviting atmosphere and a dynamic vibe.
Over the years, Lionel has catered most major Black events in Los Angeles, including all of our KBLA Talk 1580 gatherings. But now he has his own spot, Lionel's Soul Food Cuisine, and you need to check it out at 8501 South Vermont Avenue in Los Angeles. Oxtails, baked or fried chicken, meatloaf, turkey chops, pork chops, catfish, short ribs, and all the fixins. Collard greens, mac and cheese, yams, red beans, black-eyed peas, and more. And of course, hot water cornbread, satisfying drinks, and delicious desserts. Lionel's is a great place for brunch, lunch, or dinner. If it's good enough for us, it's good enough for you, because we've got your black. So head on over to Lionel's Soul Food Cuisine at 8501 South Vermont Avenue in Los Angeles and tell Lionel you heard about it on KBLA Talk 1580.
See website for details. Bills Happen is not a lender and does not make credit decisions. Hey, bills happen. So when you need extra cash fast, go to billshappen.com. Have you been turned down? Are your credit cards maxed out? Do you have bad credit? Go to billshappen.com. All you need is a job and a checking account. You can find a lender and get up to $5,000 cash as early as tomorrow at billshappen.com. Billshappen.com is the smart way to get a personal lender now. So if you need extra money for car repairs, medical bills, family emergencies, whatever you need cash for, go to billshappen.com and you can get the money you need as soon as the next day, up to $5,000. At billshappen.com, our process is safe, secure, and all online. No one to deal with in person, and Bills Happen does not charge you any fees to use our service. It's easy. When you need a lender, just remember, when bills happen, go to billshappen.com. Billshappen.com for the cash you need now. Billshappen.com.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. My very special guest, Delmarie Cobb, veteran journalist and strategist. Delmarie Cobb, your article, Why Juneteenth?
Okay. So I like holidays and celebrations as much as the next person, but I do not understand the growing popularity of Juneteenth. I understand trying to find something about slavery to celebrate and or romanticize. As an African American, I also understand the need to try and make sense of one of the most diabolical institutions in our nation's history. After all, this country was founded on the proposition of freedom. Yet the framers of the Constitution, United States presidents, and churches of almost every denomination supported slavery as an acceptable institution. I understand that as we move forward away from the vestiges of slavery, there's a need to hang on to it so that revisionists will not rewrite the history of Africans in America. Juneteenth, however, it's just one more travesty of slavery. More than 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation became law on January 1st, 1863, Texas slaves learned they were free. Their owners knew, but withheld the information. There were no radio or television newscasts or newspapers to read. Even if there were, it was against the law for Blacks to read. So it was not until General Gordon Granger, the only name associated with Juneteenth, arrived in Galveston, Texas, and read General Order Number 3 aloud, that slaves learned they were free. On June 19, 1865, Granger gathered a crowd in front of the Osterman building at 22nd and Strand and said, quote, "The people of Texas are informed that in accordance with a proclamation from the executive of the United States, all slaves are free. This involves an absolute equality of rights and rights of property between former masters and slaves. And the connection heretofore existing between them becomes between employer and free laborer." Upon hearing the news, the former slaves immediately erupted into shouts of joy and spontaneous celebrations. Consequently, in Texas, Juneteenth is considered the first recorded African American celebration. On January 1st, 1980, Juneteenth became an official state holiday thanks to the efforts of Al Edwards, a Texas legislator. For Texas, the celebration of Juneteenth is appropriate, but it makes no sense for the rest of us. A more fitting cause to celebrate would be the ratification of the 13th Amendment on December 18, 1865. Finally abolishing legalized slavery throughout the United States, Section 1 states that, quote, neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime, whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. Section 2 gives Congress the power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. The 13th Amendment paved the way for Congress to pass the nation's first civil rights bill in the summer of 1866, which gave full citizenship to Blacks, along with all the rights enjoyed by other Americans. Of course, that did not last long because laws could not change the hatred in men's hearts. It would take another 100 years and the loss of thousands of lives before America would acknowledge the atrocities heaped upon Black men and women. The 13th Amendment also persuaded the United States Supreme Court to extend protections against slavery to other races. Quote, Negro slavery alone was in the mind of the Congress which proposed the 13th article. It forbids any other kind of slavery now or hereafter. If Mexican peonage or the Chinese coolie labor system shall develop slavery of the Mexican or Chinese race within our territory, this amendment shall safely be trusted to make it void. African Americans have a long history of forcing this country to be better, of fighting to open the doors of opportunity for everyone, of succeeding against the odds. We do not have to manufacture a holiday for recognition. We need only look back at our history to learn that there are a number of events we could celebrate as a nation other than being last. Yes, America celebrates the 4th of July, but without us, the Declaration of Independence would still be a lie. Now, celebrate that.
I read that today. It was brought to my attention for the first time. I want to share a very brief story that when I was elected to Congress in 1995, the key person behind the Juneteenth holiday was the late Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee. It turns out that State Representative Al Edwards was from her congressional district. Obviously, he was successful in the naming of the holiday in the state of Texas. He was also the chairman of Jesse Jackson for president in the state of Texas in 1984 and 1988. And I found myself, one, very supportive of Al Edwards' efforts because Al was also the person in Texas demanding reparations for Black people. I understood that. He was bringing Juneteenth to their attention because for 2 years, Black people in Texas worked as slaves because the Texans did not acknowledge the Emancipation Proclamation, and therefore the strongest possible case for the lack of affordable housing, the lack of decent education, the lack of pay for work that we do, equal pay for equal work, was the case that Al Edwards was making in Texas. But when I get to Congress, Sheila Jackson Lee is not only carrying the Juneteenth holiday, she's also carrying the National Reparations Bill. And I think this part's fascinating. I shared with Sheila that the nationalization of the Juneteenth holiday would just lead to national celebrations without context. And that's what I did yesterday on this program. I tried to offer the nation a context that 2 years of free labor as part of our Exodus story is a shameful blemish on American history. It is not a barbecue. It is not a festival. It is not a parade. It is America owes us. That's the story. And I'm afraid that it's going to get lost, making a local holiday the national holiday when Texans have the strongest case that the Emancipation Proclamation, the executive order, did not apply to them, even though it did, because states' rights in Texas, just like states' rights for Governor Abbott today, just like states' rights for Ron DeSantis in Florida, just like states' rights for the governors of Alabama and Mississippi rejecting federal help in the form of Medicare and Medicaid and reimbursement monies necessary to provide health care for their people, has always been central to hiding the race arguments within the states and denying our people the very justice that they deserve. Del Marie, I can't thank you enough for your thoughtful article and bringing this to our attention, because I believe every Juneteenth celebration ought to tell the context and lay the foundation for well, the bounce check that Martin Luther King Jr. says we're all entitled to. Your thoughts, Del?
No, I agree. And last year, it's so funny, on my block, they had a Juneteenth celebration and they asked me to take part in it. And I was like, oh, what do I do? Because it's like, I can't stand this. And so I had to really think about it and say, what can I say? And so I wound up realizing that I could put it in a context of victory. Yes, we were denied the knowledge of knowing we were free for 2 years. But then look at what we've accomplished as a people. No, the things that have been done to us haven't been done to any other group of people. I mean, to think that we were not allowed to read something as basic as that was against the law, or you could get killed for it. And yet, in the amount of time since we've been free, and we've been free less than we were slaves, we still have 80 some years to go to equal the amount of time we were slaves. And look at what we've accomplished when everything has been thrown at us to hinder us. And so that's what I turned it around to, so that we could take pride in, yes, this was done, but look at what we've accomplished. And I think that's the story all of our children need to hear, because what's lost is so many of our young people don't even know what they've overcome and how we've triumphed. We are a story of exceptionalism. And we need to tell that story every day to our children, how exceptional we are as a people.
You know, Del, I was in this moment of reflection, and I kind of moved to a theological reflection. This is a solemn occasion. If you think about the Passover experience, you think about your Jewish friends today. Let's just use the Jewish community. When Passover comes, they stop and reflect upon all of the signs and wonders that God, who delivered them from slavery, brought forward for their freedom. That's the Passover. It culminates in a dinner known as the Seder dinner, where they eat bitter herbs because God is moving them from Egypt across the Red Sea to a promised land. Moses said to Pharaoh multiple times, "Let my people go." That's their process out of slavery. That's not our process out of slavery. Our process out of slavery included an Emancipation Proclamation. It included 13 states leaving the Union. It included a willing president and U.S. colored troops, along with United States Union troops, going into those states, making the case you don't have the right to leave the Union. It included a 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment to the Constitution. Let my people go doesn't work here. Ending constitutional slavery is different than ending pharaonic slavery in the Bible. God doesn't like either slave system, but our system is different. What else is lost in that process is we don't get to tell our constitutional story, not our story about celebrating the end of the process. We're not sitting at the bottom of Mount Sinai celebrating we're free without a value system like the Jews of old did. We came out of a system that required us to make a conscious judgment about what it meant to overcome the limitations of the Constitution of the United States itself. Who can argue today that the valuable lessons that Black people learned about changing the Constitution of the United States to achieve their human rights, that women need the same change in the Constitution today, that our brown brothers and sisters and our education system needs the same changes in the Constitution, that our environmental system, our climate justice system cannot be one state at a time. We have to have national constitutional coordination in order to protect our right to breathe fresh air as human beings. Del Marie?
Well, the other part of that in terms of slavery is we were brought here, snatched away from everything we knew, to a new land, to a new language, to a new people. I mean, imagine going from a country where everybody's Black, and then you come to a country and everybody's white, and all the people who are white are subjugating you. And you have to make sense of all this, and they're telling you to work. And so your culture has been taken from you. And so we started from nothing. We came over here and started from scratch because we weren't even allowed to talk to our own people because you had a mixture of tribes and languages together to make sure there was no insurrection. And so when you look at all of that, there is no equivalency to what happened to other people because they were still with their people. We weren't even with our people in terms of from the same tribes or the same countries. And so what we've overcome is absolutely tremendous. And that's the story that needs to be told over and over and over again.
I don't think it can be told enough. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. We are continuing our conversation about Juneteenth. When we come forward, Del Marie Cobb will continue to share with us some of our concerns, some of the education that we must engage with all of our children and our families during this critical holiday. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Illinois Governor J.P. Pritzker signed a $55 billion balanced budget for the 7th year in a row. It includes $40 million for a sports complex at Proviso West High, backed by Black House Speaker Chris Welch.
If helping Proviso in the region that I grew up in is going to cost me an election, I'm willing to do that.
Republicans call it favoritism. The plan also raises taxes on tobacco, vaping, and online betting. A bust of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. has quietly been removed from the Oval Office with no official explanation. The move is part of a broader rollback of civil rights and diversity symbols across federal agencies, such as renaming ships that once honored civil rights and LGBTQ figures. And Dolphins wide receiver Tyreek Hill won't race Olympic champ Noah Lyles this weekend as planned in New York City. Lyles canceled for personal reasons. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Got issues with youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA, a national nonprofit, offers more than 1,000 free online resources for youth and high school sports coaches, parents, students, and administrators. Visit PCADevZone.org.
Is this the This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Both of LA's Major League Baseball teams got a win last night. The Dodgers beat San Diego 6-3. Shohei Ohtani had his first pitching performance in almost 2 years. Ohtani pitched the first inning. He gave up 1 run and 2 hits. At the plate, Ohtani had 2 hits and 2 RBIs. The Dodgers and Padres meet up again tonight at Dodger Stadium. The Angels beat the Yankees 1-0 in 11 innings in New York. Angels manager Ryan Washington used 6 pitchers to keep the Yankees scoreless. The Angels and Yankees are back at Yankee Stadium tonight. The Oklahoma City Thunder are 1 win away from their first NBA championship in franchise history. The Thunder beat Indiana 120-109 to take a 3-2 lead in the best-of-7 NBA Finals. OKC got a career-high 40 points from Jalen Williams. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander dropped 31 points and 10 assists. Game 6 is Thursday night in Indianapolis. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio that's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
JP Morgan Chase offers tips for the local business owners in 2025. Small business landscape is ever changing, and the Los Angeles market is no exception. A startup or legacy business, revisiting your mission statement and recalibrating offerings can renew opportunities for growth and innovations. Programs like Chase for Business Coaching for Impact gives entrepreneurs access to expert guidance, helping you streamline operations, strategize your growth, and navigate complex challenges. Businesses with a clear sense of purpose can navigate any challenge effectively, but also build stronger customer loyalty. Visit chase.com/coaching for impact for more information. This segment is sponsored by JP Morgan Chase. Pasadena City College is proud to support Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr. For over 100 years, PCC has been a pillar of the community, and we're here for you as we work together to recover from the Eaton fire and rebuild Altadena's future. At PCC, we offer diverse career education programs that prepare you for in-demand jobs, fueling both today's recovery and tomorrow's growth. Whether you're starting a new career or advancing your skills, PCC gives you tools to build your future and your community. Pasadena City College, here for the Dena, here for you. Learn more at pccfordena.com.
New Always Pocket Flex Foam will change the way you think about pads. Get full-size protection in a surprisingly tiny pack that fits right in your purse or pocket. Perfect for life on the go. With up to 0 leaks, 0 feel, and 0 bunching, you'll forget you're even wearing a pad. And Always Pocket Flex Foam is designed to adapt to your body, so you can move freely and confidently throughout your day. Experience the future of period protection with new Always Pocket Flex Foam. Pick up your pack today.
Now at Verizon, we have some big news for your peace of mind. For all our customers, existing and new, we're locking in low prices for 3 years guaranteed on My Plan and My Home. That's future you peace of mind. And everyone can save on a brand new phone on My Plan when you trade in any phone from one of our top brands. That's new phone peace of mind. Because at Verizon, whether you're already a customer or you're just joining us, we got you. Visit Verizon today. Price guarantee applies to then current base monthly rate. Additional terms and conditions apply for all offers.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. My very special guest is veteran journalist, strategist, and political consultant, Delmarie Cobb. Delmarie, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you very much.
Del, I was reflecting for a moment during the break, and I just want to take this 45 seconds to share with everyone my reflection and then get your thoughts on it. It's difficult for me to remember who the first 15 presidents were. African Americans came to these shores in 1619, before Plymouth Rock in 1620. I know who George Washington was. I know John Adams. I know Thomas Jefferson, the third president, and James Madison. But the presidents between James Madison and Abraham Lincoln are almost irrelevant to the condition of Black people. I just don't study them. I probably should, but they just a blur in my mind. And I obviously didn't live during that time period. Then there's Lincoln, and there's his successor, Johnson. And then there's this effort against Reconstruction, and all of those presidents from Johnson all the way to the Brown versus the Board of Education decision, other than Roosevelt, they're almost a blur because they're almost inconsequential to our rights. And then the Kennedys, and then the Voting Rights Act of 1965, and from Johnson all the way to Donald Trump, I can tell you who the presidents are. Because our people's engagement with the right to vote, with citizenship rights, brought us into the system in a way that the politics suddenly mattered. When the politics were perceived to not matter, the presidents didn't matter to us. We had no say in that process. But wherever the politics intersected with who we are as a people existentially, we engaged in the system. And I'd like your reflection upon that, because as we reflect upon Juneteenth and the engagement of those first African Americans who saw themselves as Lincoln Republicans, Daddy King, Martin Luther King's father, was part of that last generation of Black Lincoln Republicans, in large measure because of their loyalty to Abraham Lincoln coming out of the war and what he did with the Emancipation Proclamation. That too is our story.
And that's the part that a lot of our people don't understand and don't remember, haven't been taught. I mean, we haven't been Democrats forever. We may be the most loyal bloc in the Democratic Party, but there was a reason for that. And that reason is historical. It's because we started out, most Black people started out as Republicans because of Abraham Lincoln and the Emancipation Proclamation. And most Black people either changed during Roosevelt or Franklin D., or they changed during Kennedy. My great aunt, who was born in 1895, who I was raised with, she changed after Kennedy. She voted for Nixon. And that was the first election that I remember that was vivid in my mind, that we studied in school and that I heard her talking about and all of that. And so that was when we made the transition. And we need to ask ourselves, why did we make the transition? There was a reason. Black people aren't crazy. We became Democrats, but whatever party we are part of, we have to hold them accountable. We can't just let the party do what it wants to do. When I talk about Ida B. Wells, who lived on my block, and she was a Republican. The first person she sent to the city council, who ultimately became the first Black person to go to the U.S. Congress after Reconstruction, Oscar DePriest, he was a Republican. So we were avid Republicans. So we have a duty and responsibility to tell that history as well, and not to be taken for granted. We sit up here and say, well, we feel like we've been taken for granted, but we changed for a reason, because we didn't feel the Republican Party was addressing our needs. At one time, the Democratic Party didn't address our needs. That's who the Dixiecrats were. So there's a reason for all of this, and we need to know the history of all of it.
Yesterday, Mayor Karen Bass at least as news reports are beginning to come across my phone here in Los Angeles, lifted the curfew in downtown LA. Even the history of the National Guard in the South, colored troops in the South, and why this president has decided to target essentially African American mayors in blue cities with the National Guard, with the United States Marine Corps, is part of a long history of the role of the federal government in the states, either resisting our rights or strengthening our rights. And most of our civil rights history, the federal government has had to come in to help Ruby Bridges. It's had to come in to help John Lewis and others walk across the Edmund Pettus Bridge and the March Against Fear with James Meredith. We've had to go through this process, but now we're looking in the Trump era at the very reverse use of federal power and federal authority. And it just seems to me that Juneteenth is just a classic example that even though the federal government was in the South enforcing the Emancipation Proclamation of 1863, the federal government couldn't enforce it in Texas until General Granger showed up and read the law.
No, and you were absolutely right when you talked about states' rights. I mean, when Trump talks about returning education to the states, all of that is so that we can have unequal standards. So if you live in one state, your level of education, your level of reproductive rights, your level of Medicare, Medicaid, your level of all of that may be different than if you live in another state. And so this notion of returning things back to the state is not because that's the best way to do it. It's because this allows them an opportunity to make sure things are more unequal and less equitable. And so that's what this is all about. It's about making America white again. It's not about making America great again. And we need to understand that all of this is towards that end. And people are not looking to protect us as Black people. They're looking to take away from us, because the one thing you cannot do, as I said earlier, you cannot legislate hate. And we see over and over and over again that there's this hate for Black people that's always bubbling right at the surface.
We're looking at this week here in Los Angeles at our Climate Justice Conference and the great work that KBLA has been doing with respect to climate justice, obviously addressing climate justice one state at a time when we all breathe the same air. However we land at whatever airport, the air should be the same. It's not the same. It's all separate. It's all unequal. And now in some states, the EPA has issued a new ruling that certain enforcement measures against fossil fuels, for example, they're not going to prosecute those corporations anymore. A separate and unequal system, meaning that Black communities that live next to those fossil producing facilities and corporate entities and those tracts of land where there is environmental degradation for decades, we end up with more cancer. We end up with more lymphoma. We end up with more everything because of that. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. When we come forward, we'll continue to talk about what we should be discussing on Juneteenth with Del Marie Cobb.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
Founded in Los Angeles in 1986, litigation powerhouse Quinn Emanuel has deep roots in the Los Angeles community. Since 2007, we have litigated some of the largest fires on the West Coast. We are proud to be the only AmLaw 100 firm in the country to represent wildfire victims, giving affected individuals, families, and businesses the same focus and individualized attention we devote to our Fortune 500 clients. BTI Consulting has repeatedly recognized Quinn Emanuel as among the 4 law firms in-house counsel least likely to oppose in any litigation, and we are often deemed the most feared. And after securing over $80 billion for our clients in various matters firm-wide, we understand why. If you have been affected by the recent wildfires in Altadena and the Palisades, Palisades and would like to discuss your situation further, please contact wildfire support at quinemanuel.com or call us at 213-443-3050. Quinn Emanuel is proud to sponsor Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr on KBLA Talk 1580.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about. KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Los Angeles Regional Food Bank is on a mission to fight hunger and provide nutritious food to those in need across our community. They partner with federal, state, and local programs advocating for better policies and funding for critical hunger relief programs like Cal Fresh, the Emergency Food Assistance Program, and the Child and Adult Care Food Program. The food bank works with coalitions and local representatives to make sure hunger is addressed in every district of LA County. They also run nutrition education campaigns, raise hunger awareness, and source nutritious food for distribution, all while supporting regulations that allow food pantries to operate safely. Want to help? Visit lafoodbank.org or call 323-234-3030 to volunteer or find a food bank near you. Together, we can ensure that no one goes hungry in Los Angeles County. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, Black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
See website for details. Bills Happen is not a lender and does not make credit decisions. Hey, bills happen. So when you need extra cash fast, go to billshappen.com. Have you been turned down? Are your credit cards maxed out? Do you have bad credit? Go to billshappen.com. All you need is a job and a checking account. You can find a lender and get up to $5,000 cash as early as tomorrow at billshappen.com. Billshappen.com is the smart way to get a personal lender now. So if you need extra money for car repairs, medical bills, family emergencies, whatever you need cash for, go to billshappen.com and you can get the money you need as soon as the next day, up to $5,000. At billshappen.com, our process is safe, secure, and all online. No one to deal with in person. And Bills Happen does not charge you any fees to use our service. It's easy. When you need a lender, just remember, when bills happen, go to billshappen.com. Billshappen.com for the cash you need now. Billshappen.com.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. My very special guest, veteran journalist, political strategist, Delmarie Cobb. Delmarie, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you.
In our final segment, I want to imagine what the appropriate commemoration of this event should look like. And for that, I'm going to borrow, Delmarie, from the 3,000-year tradition of our Jewish brothers and sisters. Passover is not a parade. It's not the kind of celebration that we engage in honoring the God of human history to which we owe our freedom. So they established, to mark for all time and future generations, the Passover experience, to reflect upon the signs and the wonders. There's even a point during the Seder dinner where Jewish people go to the door and welcome Elijah into the house, into the home, into the room where the Seder dinner and Passover experience is taking place. Our Passover experience is exactly what we've discussed. It's that historical narrative from slavery to freedom. Maybe during the Passover experience, we should read Carter G. Woodson's book, The Miseducation of the Negro. Maybe we should be reading The Souls of Black Folk by W.E.B. Du Bois. Maybe we should be reading Before the Mayflower by Lerone Bennett Jr. Maybe we should be reading The State of the Black Union by Tavis Smiley and the numbers of versions and editions that he has been able to publish. Maybe you should be reading A More Perfect Union, Advancing New American Rights by yours truly, 1619 to 2019. But it seems like our Seder process should honor the role that Frederick Douglass played, the role that Martin and Malcolm played, the role that Ida B. Wells Barnett played, the role that these men and women, Elijah, whom we welcome into our house, into our homes for having seen us over, should matter to our commemoration of this event. Imagine with me for a moment, Delmarie, what should this celebration be like for us?
No, I think you are absolutely right. And of course, Jesse, I had never thought about it in that way until you brought it up. And I went to predominantly Jewish high school, so I actually know this process and ceremony and the meaning of it. And that should be exactly what we do. This should be a moment of reflection, not celebration. And we should be required to remember our struggle and the long road and journey that we have taken and still are taking, because we're certainly not free as African Americans in this country. We still are not free. And so that is so profound. And I think that we really have to think about how do we change people's behavior so that they understand that this is not a happy occasion. This is a commitment to freedom isn't free. And so it's a commitment to strive for freedom for all of our people, because it's almost what they call Black fate. Because if one of us is not doing well, all of us aren't doing well. And we need to understand that.
You know, it's so amazing to me because before I went to Congress, I was a public speaker. And I used to travel around the country giving speeches. And Black History Month, Martin Luther King Jr., the annual events, for those of us who were on the speakers circuit, we did pretty well. I don't want to make money off of Juneteenth. I just don't. It's just not in my core. It's not who I am. It's not what the holiday is about. But I got to be honest with you. The opportunity to tell the truth of our story, which Sheila Jackson Lee and Al Edwards helped nationalize, is a windfall for people who are willing to listen to the truth. But I don't want to make any money this week. I want to be around the table with my children and with members of my family, thanking God for my dad, thanking God for Andy Young, thanking God for Ralph Abernathy, thanking God for Cornel West and Tavis Smiley and Michael Dyson. I want to thank God for the people who persisted in spite of it all, who raised their voices, those who made it to the promised land and those who did not make it to the promised land. This is that reflection, no different than Watch Night, where we find ourselves hoping that Abraham Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation on December 31st will actually mean something on January 1st, 1863, which is the date of the proclamation itself. But then the idea that the executive order that Donald Trump is asking us to follow today, all 200 of them, didn't make it to the people of Texas, that somehow to capture that historic moment, it's about the barbecue, the festival, the music. Some folk gonna drink, some folk gonna smoke a little weed and chill. Somehow we never get to this thoughtful part of the reflection is deeply troubling for me. Del Marie?
No, and I think that's part of our problem collectively is that we are not telling our story generation to generation to generation. We should be passing it down, and we're not doing that. And we have to do that because the fight is still so real, and there is no. It's a false narrative to believe that any of us as African Americans is free, because we're not.
I say it as I prepare to close out this episode of our program, that Blacks in Chicago have to be telling the same story that Blacks in Los Angeles are telling, who are telling the same story that Blacks in Atlanta are telling, who are telling the same story that Blacks in Detroit are telling, who are telling the same story that our brothers and sisters in Harlem, New York are telling, all the way down to Miami, Montgomery, Birmingham, Alabama, Jackson, Mississippi, Memphis, Tennessee. We have to tell the same story. And what unites us are these moments where we share the story. If everybody has their own story and their own celebration, it's going to be a long road ahead. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. My very special guest has been Del Marie Cobb. Del Marie, thank you for being with us on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you.
Until next time.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm